Alrighty guys, so it is the next day. Ended up getting all the parts in not too long ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up this box. I got a huge box from FCP Euro. We got the lifetime replacement from FCP, so that is good. I ended up ordering a ton of stuff for this car, like pretty much every single coolant hose, pretty much every single piece of maintenance that you could ever need for an N54, I got it in here. Like I said, the other parts, some of the other accessories for the engine have really low miles on them, so I figured I'll just reuse those. Now, all the stuff that does need to be replaced will be replaced, all these parts in here. So let me go ahead and open this up real quick. Holy crap. Dude, the amount of parts we got in here. Holy crap. Nor, have you ever seen a box like this? Bro. Hold on guys, check this out. Look at bro, this thing is packed.
Bro, how much you spend again?
Bro, like $1,000 on all this.
Bro, I've never seen anyone buy this brand new. This is gonna be so nice and refreshed.
I know, dude. So guys, this is the coolant hose that goes onto the subframe. Typically,
these common leak.
They do leak, but the thing is,
they're a pain to get to.
They really are very difficult to get to. So I ended up just going with it. This alone was like $100 just for that.
This is the most common hose that fails.
Yes, and I got it aluminum, so that way.
I didn't know they offered it in aluminum.
Yeah, surprisingly they do, and it's like the OE replacement just with the aluminum, so that is great to have. Literally has everything. We got the serpentine belt kit, all the pulleys. We even got brand new motor mounts in there, so that is nice. Like I said, I got pretty much every single coolant hose that you could ever get. Is this a valve cover gasket?
Yeah.
They wrapped up the valve cover gasket.
That's
like
actually
this,
normal. That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter?
Just
okay.
the oil pan, because it's like a metal gasket, that has to be straight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's rubber, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so we got the valve cover gasket. I already have some other oil filter housing gaskets. I should probably grab those over on my box, but we got all brand new spark plugs. But yeah, guys, we literally got pretty much everything you could ever need. The only thing I didn't really get were ignition coils because I already have a ton of different ignition coils that should be good. So that is why I didn't end up getting any new ignition coils, but let me go ahead and grab the other parts. I also bought a few other things from other places that I just couldn't get from FCP. What I ended up getting was the crank seal plate, front crank seal plate, which just in case if the belt ever rips, it won't go through the engine, so that is good. I also got an aluminum power steering pulley instead of the plastic ones because the plastic ones always break. So I got those two things from, I believe, Amazon. So some other things that we already had. This is an old valve cover gasket that I placed like 2 years ago, but I think this is for N52. But I do have an oil filter housing gasket over here. I have all the bolts for it, a ton of different seals, random seals. We literally got like everything you could ever need. And then we also got the oil pan gasket. I ended up buying this off of Nor. He had an extra one that was brand new. It comes with all the bolts. So I bought that from him. So we got a brand new oil pan gasket, brand new valve cover gasket, brand new oil filter housing gasket, pretty much everything that goes on the engine, except for the main engine accessories like the AC compressor, power steering, pump, alternator, water pump. The water pump was actually replaced recently according to the Carfax. So the water pump only has like 30,000 miles on it. So I'm just gonna reuse that. But yeah, pretty much everything is gonna be refreshed on this engine. I guess I should probably go ahead and show you guys the engine right now. So guys, this is the engine I got for this car for the 135. It turns out the 135 had a 6-bolt engine. And how you can tell that it was a 6-bolt engine is according to the back side right over here. So the flywheel is only gonna have 6 bolts. So if you guys don't know, N54s, there are two versions. One is an 8-bolt and one is a 6-bolt. 8 bolts come primarily on 2007 to 2010, and 6 bolts pretty much mostly come in 335 IS and a few 135s. And this 135 happened to have a 6-bolt N54. It is a 2010, so I guess it does kind of make sense, but it just means the engines are harder to find. So I got this engine. It is a 6-bolt, so it should bolt right up to the transmission. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and clean this up as well. It is a little bit oily and dirty, and I just honestly want to clean it up so that when we put it in the car, it looks brand new, refreshed. Gonna be taking off all these pulleys and installing everything new onto this engine. We even have a set of index 12s that we're gonna throw onto this engine as well. So that is some good news. Everything is gonna be done for this car, and this car should not have a single oil leak. We're even gonna be doing this rear main seal just in case, because sometimes they do start leaking. I still haven't bought that part. I'm gonna buy that from BMW and get that done here as well, but probably just not today. I'll probably do as much as I can today, and then I'll finish up the rest tomorrow or within the next few days. The engine swap process is gonna take quite a bit, but I'm gonna try to do it in as short amount of videos as I can. So bear with me guys, but let's go ahead, get the rest of the parts, start cleaning up everything. and then start assembling this engine. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Bro, looks like a mess, doesn't it?
There's so much stuff, bro.
I know.
Have fun.
Oh man. Alrighty guys, so this is all the rest of the accessories, like high pressure fuel pump. Pretty much everything that came with the car is in here. However, as you guys can see, this is literally caked in oil, so I got a lot of cleaning to do. I don't want to put on these dirty parts. If I can at least take an hour to clean these, I will. That way it looks all brand new on the car. But yeah, pretty much everything is in here. The previous owner left it in like sawdust or some sand, like rocks. So I really do actually have to clean these out because I think that could cause some issues. Yeah, it doesn't look like too much fun, does it?
It doesn't, but the good thing is, like, I'm literally looking at that fuel pump and I'm just thinking about, like, oh my God, bro, how are we gonna get that fuel pump on that engine because we don't have the bolts for it? And I was just remembered, bro, we have a perfect donor engine.
I know. So guys, obviously this is the engine we're gonna be putting into the car because it is a 6-bolt. And this one we got out of a different car, and literally it has every single piece on. So pretty much what we're gonna be doing is kind of using this like a donor, as in if we need any like little bolts here or there, we're gonna be taking it off of this engine, and just for like reference, pretty much, we can see where everything goes.
I like how Jonathan said here and there. You mean every bolt?
You think so? Well, yeah, I guess because there's nothing on this one.
There's nothing on there, and I guarantee you there's no bolts in there. So literally, what's nice about having this engine here too, he's gonna take off, like as soon as you finish cleaning something, put it on, take off the bolts off this. It'll remove something off here, and it'll bolt something on there. And at the same time, we can actually sell the rest of the parts that are on here. That's true. And because again, like, I'm super happy I forgot. Actually, I'm super happy we didn't toss this engine because we left a high pressure fuel pump on there.
Oh, that's true.
So we get to get the bolts out of there, get to use your low mileage one, we get to sell the other one. It's a win-win, you know. Yeah. But bro, you're gonna need everything here, including all the wiring here. So
that is true. There is pretty much literally everything that we need on this engine. We didn't really touch it. The only thing we took off was the belt. Other than that, everything is sitting there that we could possibly need. Yeah, I guess let's go ahead, start cleaning up these parts that we have in that little bin over there. The good thing is that we're either gonna have brand new parts or very low mileage parts for this engine right over here. So this thing should be pretty much bulletproofed at this point. So yeah, let's go ahead, get started on cleaning those parts. Real quick guys, if you guys see this, power steering pulley is actually already cracked. I didn't even notice that before, but it actually already has a crack right here. So it's a good thing that we're actually replacing that. And it is a very common thing for these to crack. So if any of you guys have N54s, make sure to double check that and see if yours is cracked, because that could cause some issues. Pretty much cleaned up everything that needed to be cleaned up. We got all the new parts over there. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is clean up this engine. So there is still some dirt on here. I'm just gonna try to clean it as best as I can. It's not gonna need to be perfect, just a little bit better than this. So at least there's not like caked on oil before we put it in. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start swapping everything onto the engine. So let me go ahead and start cleaning this. Alrighty guys, we are gonna go ahead and take off valve cover right now to replace the valve cover gasket. So I'm just gonna go ahead and knock it out real quick. We just got the new valve cover gasket on, so we're good to go on that. I think we're gonna go ahead and start putting on some of these pulleys real quick, and then I'm gonna put on the crank seal plate, crank seal guard plate. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. just to knock out this little portion right here. And then I might call it quits for today. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna go ahead and start on the oil pan gasket so we can just knock that out and then slowly put everything back onto the engine. So I think that's the plan for now. So let me go ahead and get started on these few things right here. All right, guys. So I took off the crank pulley to find this, and this is what looks to be an old belt. And I wanted to double check because I was like, well, the seal looks good. This was literally chilling in here. So we have this other engine over here. So I was like, I'm just gonna double check. So I took off the crank pulley on this one, and same thing, like another belt was chilling in there. So like, I know it's a very common thing that these belts get sucked into these engines. I just didn't realize how common it really was. That's why it's very important, guys, that you get a crank seal plate. This protects your crank seal in case your belt slips so that it doesn't get pulled into your engine, because if that belt gets pulled into the engine's toast. I was just trying to double check with this one, and this one also had it. So it is a very common thing. It almost happened to me before in the past. So now every single N54 I get, I put one of these on. Even my current 335 has one on. Same thing, crank seal plate. They're like 50 bucks realistically, and it will save your engine just in case like your serpentine belt ever snaps. Like, this will protect it. I highly recommend getting one of these if you have an N54, because look at 2 for 2, 2 engines, both same thing. Look at old belt off this one. Looks like somebody snapped the belt. It was replaced before it got sucked into the engine. And same thing for this one. This one's crazy.
Yeah,
this
that's
one's like a mangled mess.
You know, what's crazy is that both seals are still intact, but basically how does it actually get sucked through the seal is basically if you didn't shut off the car fast enough, or you're redlining it really hard and too much belt went back there, it'll push through the seal and actually go in the oil pan and go through the engine and all that stuff. So it looks like both these cars at one point the belts did snap, which is crazy. It just, both of them thankfully was caught before. Yeah. Because if the seal was broken on this one, I don't even know if we should move forward with it. So thankfully, the seals on both of them look identical. It looks like they're good. It's just, thankfully, once you put on this new crank seal plate, you'll never have to worry about that ever again. So
yeah, that's wild. Anyway, guys, definitely replace your, not replace it, just get the plate. It's like literally, I got this for like 45 bucks on Amazon.
It really doesn't need to be fancy. It literally just needs to cover up where the
all
seal
the
is.
same. Yeah, they're literally all the same. So just get one that has the 2 bolts, and it literally bolts right up into the engine. It's like perfect. So definitely go ahead and get one of those. I'll leave it linked down below. Alright guys, so we ended up actually taking this home and cleaning this out with a pressure washer. So this looks like really close to new. Obviously it still has some wear marks in here, but for the most part we got this all nice and cleaned. We got the actual part that you can see outside of the car. No oil on here, which is good. So now we can go ahead, install the oil pan gasket on this thing, and then reinstall it onto the engine. So let's go ahead and get started on that. And then I'm also going to be swapping out these spark plugs right now, just to get them done. I'll catch back up with you guys once we get these 2 things done. See if we can get this to focus. Look at that, it's literally dripping in oil. So I don't know if that's a good thing, but we are going to be replacing it anyway. So let me see if I can get it to focus. Ah, there we go. See that thing caked in oil?
So these are the old spark plugs Jonathan went ahead and pulled out. This one has like rust on the top end. Not a big deal because thankfully it's on the top end, but a bunch of them have oil. So Yeah, it's a good thing we went ahead and actually replaced the tubings inside of the engine valve cover right here. These all got replaced. Shout out to Jonathan. He actually just had them laying around, so that's super random.
I know, right?
He also had the gasket for the valve cover, so that's all been serviced up. This valve cover does look like it was replaced at one point, and it's an OE valve cover, so that top end is good to go. At this point, Jonathan's gonna go ahead, get it jacked up for you guys, and get the oil pan replaced. That's gonna be super nice. Not the oil pan itself, but the gasket, and get it all torqued down properly. So this thing is gonna be fresh. Talking about fresh, check this out.
Oh, bro, it looks so
that
good.
Looks sick.
Bro, the engine's coming together. We got new pulleys. These are literally brand new.
Oh yeah, even did those as
We
well.
got these on. Fresh valve cover gasket, guys. We got the seal, and now we're gonna do the actual gasket for the oil pan. So this is my first time doing this. I've actually never done an oil pan gasket, so I'm curious to see how it goes. Should be fine though, because
It's either gonna be very easy or it's gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be easy because realistically, like,
It's just a bunch of bolts.
It's just a bunch of bolts, and the engine's outside of the car. Like, I can't imagine it being that difficult. So,
Facts.
yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna move this out to where there's a little bit more space,
Right over here.
and then we can easily work on it. I'm reusing this one because realistically, like, I forgot to buy a new one, but I think it'll be fine.
Crazy expensive brand new. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna get one, it'll probably be a used one. There's nothing wrong with this one.
This one looks fine, to be honest. The gasket looks good as well, so it's not the end of the world. It looks really, really clean. Like, look at this, bro. It looks like it never had an oil leak in its life. Oh man, and it's not, because guess what? We got a gasket.
It will never have another.
It'll
oil leak
never
for
have
its
an oil
life.
leak again. Yeah, guys, it's looking really clean. Let's go ahead, flip this over, flip over the oil pan, and get started on putting on the gasket. And then we are going to use a torque wrench to properly torque the bolts onto the engine. And then look at that, little 135 back over there. And yeah, so let's go ahead, put on this gasket, and then slowly install the pan. Alright guys, just to be clear, I am only tightening these until they're ready to be torqued. So I am going to be using a torque wrench to properly torque these to spec. So don't worry, I'm just getting them to the point where they're ready to be torqued in. So if you guys are wondering, that's what I'm doing. Alrighty guys, I got all the bolts on. Now, all I gotta do is properly torque them down, and then we are good to go for today. Alrighty guys, so I have a torque wrench right here. I set it to 70 inch-pounds of torque, which is about 8 Newton meters, which is what this calls for. So I have it set up. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but it is set up correctly. So I'm gonna go ahead, start torquing everything down, and then once I'm done torquing, then we're pretty much good to go with installing all the rest of the accessories on this thing. So I'm just gonna go ahead, start torquing these all in. So we properly torque these down to 8 Newton meters. So we should be good for this engine now. This engine should have no oil leaks based off of the oil pan and the valve cover. So the next things we're gonna go ahead do, we're gonna go ahead start slowly putting on the accessories. I'm actually gonna replace the rear main seal here tomorrow and actually have it walnut blasted. So we're gonna get that done as well. Literally every piece of maintenance on this thing that needs to be done will be done. So that is very good. Now I think I'm gonna cut to you guys in just a second when I get the work done tomorrow. So let's go ahead and jump into that part real quick. Alrighty guys, I got my boy Alex over here. He's gonna be doing the rear main seal on this engine, and he's also gonna be doing a walnut blast. So he brought all the stuff needed for this walnut blast. Actual intake valves don't look too bad, but I still wanted it done anyway. I'll try to get a better video for you guys. I just wanted to get them done so I don't have to worry about anything maintenance wise on this engine. Everything will be taken care of before it gets dropped in. I'm just gonna get a quick little time lapse for you guys of the rear main seal and the walnut blast. Alright guys, so Alex just finished up the Walnut Blast and the rear main seal. So we got a brand new rear main seal on there, and then brand new cleaned out valves. Obviously they're not brand new, but they are cleaned out, so there's no more carbon buildup on them. But now we're gonna go ahead and start assembling the engine with all the engine accessories. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and start with the alternator, AC compressor, power steering pulley. I'm gonna go ahead and start on those, slowly build the engine back up, high pressure fuel pump back here as well, and then slowly get it to where it kind of looks like this engine. So let's go ahead, get started on those things. Alright guys, so this is the next day. This has been about like 4 days now of refreshing this engine. So yesterday we finished off with installing the water pump. So if we look over here, we got the water pump. We got all brand new hoses. We replaced this coolant hose, this coolant hose, the coolant hose down here, this coolant hose, and we got a few more coolant hoses right over here that we still got to install once the engine is actually in the car. The only things left that we got to install are the oil filter housing up here, the power steering pulley right over here, and then we also got to finish installing the fuel lines that go to the injectors, and then install the injectors. And then after all that is done, then I think we are actually ready. Oh, and I forgot to mention that we got brand new engine mounts on both sides. So this one is brand new. This is what the new one looks like. That's what the old one looked like. It actually had a big rip in it. I don't know if you guys can see right in there, there's a huge rip. Yeah, it's literally coming apart. So we got a new engine mount on this side, and then a new engine mount on this side as well. So we also got the high pressure fuel pump on, we got the starter on, alternator, AC condenser. So we pretty much got everything installed. It's pretty much ready. Have those few last things be installed onto the engine, and then we're ready to throw it back into the 135. So if we look in here, we have a few coolant hoses to replace in here, and then just honestly button everything up. It's gonna take a little while to do it because it's a little bit more difficult when you didn't take off the engine, and in this case the previous owner took out the engine. So we got to figure out a good way, a good method of putting it in. I think we're gonna honestly take off the front clip, so that way we can just slide the engine in through the front, not through the top, because the previous owner took it out through the top somehow. I don't know how he did it, but yeah, we're just gonna take off the whole front clip as well. That will just make it easier to slide the engine into the transmission, and then button everything up that way. It also gives us more space, so that's probably what we're gonna end up doing. So we're probably gonna end up doing that in the next video. For now, to finish up this video, I'm gonna go ahead and install the last few things for the engine, so that it is ready to be put into the car. So let's go ahead and finish that up real quick. Then also guys, I went ahead and installed the aluminum power steering pulley, because these ones like to crack a lot. So I think I already mentioned that earlier, but just so you guys know, I already installed it. So now we got all the pulleys on. We got the crank pulley, we got all the idler pulleys, tensioner pulley, AC compressor, alternator, power steering pulley. They are all on. I'm not gonna put the belt on just yet, but everything is in place now for this part. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install the oil filter housing. I'm gonna clean that out and install it real quick, and then go ahead and install the fuel injectors, and then we should be good to go. Brand new oil filter housing gasket. Alright guys, we got the power steering pulley on. We also got the oil filter housing on. So I ended up replacing the gasket, as you guys saw in video. I got all new bolts for it, and then I even had an extra oil pressure switch, brand new, that I ordered like 2 years ago. I don't even know why I ordered it 2 years ago, but I ordered it 2 years ago and got this brand new. Pretty much everything on the oil filter housing is good to go. Eventually we will have to replace the actual oil filter once we install the engine oil. I'll go ahead and do that. Pretty much now all that we need to do is go ahead and install the fuel injectors. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the fuel lines right now, install the Index 12 injectors. So let's go ahead and get that done. Alrighty guys, so I'm not sure where we left off, but we are about to go ahead and install a few more parts onto this engine. For now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and install the fuel injectors, plug in the Van solenoids, plug in the coolant hose. Pretty much the last little things that need to be done, we're gonna go ahead and do on this engine, and then we're gonna go ahead and end this video because it is gonna be a very long video of me refreshing this engine. Over here we have the Index 12 injectors. I don't know if you guys can see that, but these are Index 12, so that is good. Throwing these on. We're also gonna be throwing on the cats, and I got new clamps and gaskets to throw on there as well as the exhaust gaskets too. So we're pretty much doing everything on this car. It should be as reliable as an N54 can get. So let's go ahead, finish installing the little parts on this engine. So guys, we have one used Van solenoid right here, and then I ended up having another brand new Van solenoid just sitting around. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw in the new one, and then use the low mileage Van solenoid that I have. So that way, at least one of them is brand new and the other one is low mileage. Honestly, it's not ideal. I wish I had both brand new, but I'm at this point in this rebuild, I'm trying to save at least a little bit of money. So I've already spent money on pretty much everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these real quick. Alrighty guys, we got the cats on properly. Brand new exhaust clamps and exhaust gasket, so that's good. Right now Nora's helping me install the Index 12s onto the engine, so knocking that out. I'm kind of just cleaning up the front face of the engine with some brass brushes. It really honestly like is perfect for metal stuff, so coming out pretty clean. It's looking brand new. I think we're gonna go ahead and the video after we install these. The next video will probably be us taking apart the front clip, hooking up the transmission and dropping it into the car. So that is the plan for now, but let's go ahead and install these. Alright guys, so we got all the fuel injectors on. We got the cats on now. We got all the stuff connected that we need to get connected, I believe. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right here. We got pretty much everything that we could get done on this engine done. So it should have no oil leaks at this point. Pretty much all the coolant hoses are replaced. Everything should be good. So I think we're gonna go ahead and end it right here. Stay tuned for the next video. The next video, we're probably gonna actually drop in the engine, get everything buttoned up. So let's go ahead, just end this video right here. Make sure to check us out on Instagram. Check me out on Instagram, check out Nora on Instagram. Make sure to subscribe down below. And if you guys are excited for this build, make sure to give the video a like. With all that being said, remember, stay safe, stay happy, and stay in that project car. I will catch you guys later.